God, we are live. Springboard Plancha Podcast, aka the most amateur hour wrestling podcast show on the planet. And once again, we were trying to get on here. We're trying to get on here. About,
Hey everyone!
Oh my God,
And
we are live.
I can hear myself.
Springboard
Why can't I hear
Plancha
myself?
Podcast,
Oh,
aka
no.
the
No,
most
we're good,
amateur
we're good,
hour
we're
wrestling
good. We're
podcast
good, cheese.
show on the planet.
It was YouTube letting me know that we're live, as I can hear myself talking on the YouTube feed.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh no.
I was like, oh,
Amateur
yeah.
hour.
Yeah, guys, we're trying to get on here at 8:30 today, and we did not get on at 8:30. It's already 10 o'clock at night. We were about ready to launch, and then we had a bunch of difficulties, one after the other. But finally, we are live and in color and in person. I think we're in good quality, as good as we can get here. But definitely wanted to come on here, and I mean, let's just get it started, Cheese. I mean, we don't need no time for introductions or anything like that. Let's just get into the nitty gritty of everything.
Hold on. Before we start, put in the comments, guys, if you guys want us to rebrand from the SPP to the Amateur Hour Wrestling Show. Guys, just let us know, if that's more suitable for what we're doing here. So, but yeah, I'm ready to jump right into the stuff.
We're trying, guys. We're trying. One of these days,
Hey, you know what?
It's gonna come on and boom, we're gonna be good to go, and we're gonna be a well-oiled machine. But until then, hey, it is what it is.
We could chronicle how hard it is to actually make a podcast. Like,
it's not easy.
Yeah,
guys. It's hard.
we could chronicle like all the roadblocks along the way for sure.
Let's rephrase that for just a second. How hard it is to do this without a huge amount of just cash you can just throw into it. If you have a lot of cash that you can just throw into it, man, you can get this thing looking perfect and fancy and all of that and all the bells and whistles in like an hour or less. But we're not Joe Rogan. We're not any of these other guys that have a shit ton of money
Not
to
yet.
just throw into things. Not yet, at least. So you have to start somewhere. So with that, it gets hard to bring these things up, but at least we're here. So we're here. So what do we talk about? Of course, we got to start off with the fact that, unfortunately, Mommy's out. Mommy is on the shelf. It was confirmed on Monday Night Raw that she actually did have an injury that she sustained last week during the Liv Morgan attack, and it was reported, I think, early Monday on X and Twitter that there was some rumblings that she may have to take some time off and that they may end up vacating the title. That ended up happening. It was the first segment on this last Monday night's Raw. And yeah, the Women's World Championship is vacated. And now we are going to have a new Women's World Champion. The 380-day reign of Rhea Ripley ends with her just putting the title in the middle of that ring, and then that's it. So now it looks like next week on Monday Night Raw is where we're going to get crowned a new World's Women's Champion, but no idea about how that's going to happen, though. There was no match or anything built, so I don't know how this is going to go, but it's very unfortunate news because it's just a historic reign for Rhea. And I wasn't and it looks like she was going to be put into a program with Liv Morgan, and now that's not going to happen, at least not right away. But I guess the next question is, and I'll throw it to you, Cheese, so we can just get rolling here, is who do you want to see win the title next week? Well, I mean, we don't know who's competing or what, but just throw it out there. Who do you want to see be the next Women's World Champion?
Well, when I stop and think about it, the thing that makes the most sense, I guess the scenario that makes the most sense is Liv Morgan herself, right? Because we have a potential, a grudge match or some kind of revenge match when Rhea gets back. I know she's out for what, three months? Is that what we're looking at?
It's gonna be 3 months.
So Liv Morgan having a title reign for 3 months and then potentially having a match when she comes back doesn't seem too far-fetched, right? I think that everybody wants Liv Morgan. I think they definitely want to see Rhea versus Liv Morgan now with all this realism that's going on, right? Because you got Rhea injuring Liv, and now Liv's injuring Rhea, and I love the angle that they're playing because it's like real, and
Sure.
I mean that chair throw That chair throw was real too. The one that smacked Rhea right in the head. I'm surprised she didn't have a concussion on top of that messed up shoulder, right? So yeah, but there's like a lot of wrinkles in between here and there, right? Because you got like the draft coming up, and we don't really know how that's gonna like play into everything. So I don't really know what's gonna happen. Are we gonna get like some kind of a battle royal to see who's number one? Because it's gonna all happen in one night, right? That's what we're hearing.
Yeah, I mean, it said it. It said it on the graphic on Monday night. A new women's world champion will be crowned next week. So, however they decide to do it, whether it's in a tournament style throughout the night or in a battle royal or something like that, regardless. By the end of the night, we will have a new women's world champion. I would almost assume that in that kind of a format, you're probably doing a battle royal kind of thing. But I don't know. I guess we'll just have to find out when we get to Monday Night Raw on next Monday and see. And they're doing that. I'm pretty sure they're doing that because they got a PLE, like you said, in less than 2 weeks in France, and so somebody's knocking.
Somebody is knocking.
There's a knock at the door. There's a knock at the door. Okay, so I'm coming in here to talk about this for a little bit. So the key to all this is going to be that because they're going to France, I would think that they would want to have a champion there. So this is why they're instead of crowning a new champion at the PLE, I guess they're deciding just to do it next week on Raw and possibly set up an opponent for next week's for the PLE. So if it is Liv Morgan that wins, then maybe they can get her an opponent ready to go before they go out to France. If it's Nia Jax, same thing. If it's somebody else, I would think that those are probably your top two people that are probably in line to win that title. Unless but in moments like this, I will say with WWE, and I mean, at least in the past, I don't know how this is going to work under Triple H's regime for this one, but in the past, I know that WWE has done things where sometimes it's not what it seems, even in a case of somebody having to vacate a title. I'm trying to think when was the last time somebody vacated a world title, whether it was women's or men's. And man, I'm trying to remember at the top of my head when was the last time that happened. But I mean, I'm just gonna throw an example out there because I can't remember when was exactly the last time it happened. But I know one of the times was when Finn Balor won the Universal title a couple of years ago. He had gone up against Seth Rollins, right? So off the top of your head, you would think, okay, well, since Finn Balor is not going to be able to be the Universal Champion, then you would have Seth Rollins pick it up because he was his opponent, right? And so then that next Monday or that following that night on that Monday Night Raw, they had Seth Rollins go up against Kevin Owens, and I mean, everyone thought, okay, Seth Rollins is clearly winning here because he's the golden boy, right? And he was the opponent of Finn Balor, and they actually swerved and gave it to Kevin Owens, and so Kevin Owens ended up being the Universal Champion at that point. So, and we've seen in the past, I'm not sure if this is how it's going to be, that it may not be exactly who we see in these situations. The situations can always call for, might as well just throw something against the wall and see if it sticks because we have an opportunity to do something different here. Maybe not what the original game plan was. Do we have you back, Cheese? All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I mean, but in that scenario you're describing right now, who are the other options, right? So we have Nia Jax, right, who's currently was in the mix, right?
Sure.
Becky is gone for now, so she's not going to be an option.
After this, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw her on Monday.
Come back.
I know she's on the UK tour right now. Like she is WWE is on their current UK tour right now, and I know that she is currently with them, so she is technically not on break. But in moments like this, right, you kind of have to break the glass, right? Sometimes, because it's unfortunate you weren't foreseeing that your top women's star is going to be taken out of action for 3 months. So it wouldn't surprise me if she did happen to show up on Monday by chance, but I don't know.
I like the 3 month idea, right? So somebody's going to be a placeholder champ. That's just how it seems, right? Because I mean, I guess if they catch fire, they might have an extended title reign, and Rhea won't win it back right away.
Sure.
But right now, you could swerve and you could go Chelsea Green, you could go Liv, you could go
and then the other
you can go Nia Jax,
and then
because she hasn't actually been a champ.
And the other question is do you kind of do it? This is why I think it's kind of fascinating to think about, because I don't know how this is going to happen next week. Is it only Raw superstars that are going to be in whatever this thing is going to be? Or was there potential to be some SmackDown superstars that can compete to win the title, right? And they come over to Raw. So then if you do it that way, it opens up a whole other, but I don't know. But if we're just talking about, I guess if we're just talking Raw women's superstars, obviously Liv is right there at the top, and Nia Jax. And then after that, you can, pick and choose who you think could be a surprise person, like a Chelsea Green, although I don't think that'll happen. It would be a hell of a swerve, though.
It sure would.
It would be a hell of a surprise and a hell of a swerve. But then
she'd do a good chicken shit heel run. I mean, a good chicken shit like placeholder run, for a little bit,
like a month or two or something like that.
Yeah.
Although I have her kind of slated down as a potential Money in the Bank winner this year.
Gotcha.
So
yeah.
But because I think she would be really good with it. I think that would be a really fun run to have Chelsea Green.
I think she'd have a miserable cash in
with the Money in the Bank. Yeah. Although you never know, man. Sometimes the right opportunity opens up.
Oh
right?
man.
But anyways, it'll be interesting to see how they line this up next week. Whether or not it's just like a free for all battle royal or a tournament style kind of thing throughout the night to crown this new women's world champion. But yeah, it sucks that Rhea Ripley's out, but she's only going to be out for 3 months. It was reported that she has an AC joint sprain, so nothing's torn, which is good, because had she torn
but sprains are tough though, right?
Sure. And sometimes sprains can be worse than just tearing the thing.
Yep.
Sometimes, but when it comes to the shoulder, the worst thing that could have happened is like if she could have had like a torn labrum, rotator cuff, or like broken her collarbone or something like that. Those are easily gonna be 6 to 9 month recoveries, because most of those are gonna require surgery to repair torn ligaments, and so that's 6 to 9 months sometimes on those. So the fact that it's just a sprain means that they can manage it. They can start rehabbing her pretty quickly, I think they said within 4 to 6 weeks is when she can start getting mobility back, and then from there it's just rehab and rehabilitation and whatnot. And then I think in those, when they get to that 12-week mark, then they can kind of assess, okay, what's the strength of the shoulder? Can she get full rotation without pain, stuff like that? And then I think she can make her return. I mean, that woman's got really, really broad, big shoulders. So if you go back and look at the video where it hit, it was a pretty good impact. And sometimes I'd argue that in those kinds of beat up situations, it's better to be propelled from a longer range, because it gives you more of an opportunity for the brace. But in that little hallway that it was, she had like less than a foot of clearance before she hit the wall. So I mean, she hit that thing at full impact with no brace. So it made sense that something was gonna get hurt. It just sucks. It's a freak accident. It's nobody's fault. I think it's not anybody's fault. You're trying to make it happens in a business where you try to make things look as realistic as possible, and it happens. But
this might be a blessing in disguise for WWE when you think about it. Like, you kind of don't have to take the belt off mommy, right? She
Mm-hmm.
relinquished it. Nobody beat her. So she's got that to her name. You get a chance to start putting other superstars into the mix for just a little bit, right? But I think you're
Sure.
also building up. If they play their cards right, they will have an amazing Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley storyline going
Well,
up. Maybe if they
yeah.
extended long enough, all the way up till WrestleMania to have a one-on-one match at some point
Ooh.
there. Like, like if they play their cards right, they could have a serious rivalry, if that makes sense. Like a serious like injury rivalry.
Sure.
They can build a story, right? They can recap how Liv got hurt and she was at the top of her game and then she
Sure.
came back and hurt Rhea. So I think this could be something. Now it could be something as soon as like SummerSlam though too as well, right? Because we anticipate SummerSlam is going to be a pretty big event as well. So
Yeah.
like I
Yeah. Of
said,
course.
if they can do the slow burn though, they can have a pretty good story going up
Yeah.
until next year if you play your cards right.
There's a potential for that, most definitely. I do think that, of course, the draft is going to have a lot of say into how the storylines change and whatnot. And then, of course, SummerSlam is coming up in a couple of months. They have another pretty big PLE show and not in Cardiff, but in Glasgow, Scotland, with Clash at the Castle. That one will probably fill in that won't be billed as a big show. We also have a Saudi show in between as well. So, there's a potential there for some things there. But based on her timeline, right? What are we in? April? So May, June. So she'll be back probably in time for maybe I would assume, or I would think place my bets on that it would probably be Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that's what they would do. And the cool thing about this, like you said, sometimes you got to make you got to
You
make
can extend that.
you got to make lemonade out of lemons. And in this case, what this ended up doing, if it wasn't already happening, for sure now all the sympathy and everything got put on Rhea Ripley for this. I mean, she's already a fan favorite already. Like the fans
Favorite, yeah.
like her, but this is just propels her because of that. You know, because of a sympathy card on the thing of that. And what it also did is it also potentially created a heel in the form of Liv Morgan,
Yes.
which I don't think was the intention when this all started, but now for sure, because the fans were booing the shit out of her
Oh
on
yeah.
Monday for every time she came on the
And
screen.
she was just smiling too, so
And
she was
so
good with it.
and so I think that would be a good way for her to do a double. It was a good double turn in my opinion. Way to do it organically, more or less. So I think if you flip the script and you turn Liv into a heel and have Rhea come back as a huge, fan favorite face, I think that's good potential for that from a storytelling aspect as well. The fact that it seems like they're going with she got her clap back from her getting
Mm-hmm.
knocked out by Rhea last year with the shoulder injury. It just happens to be a shoulder injury too. So how
Mm-hmm.
about that, right? So everything came full circle
That's
with
what I'm
this,
saying. Yeah.
except that the fans are turning on Liv
Well,
because
she
of
injured
this.
a fan favorite, right?
And so
Yeah.
yeah, so now it's like, so it's great. So they have a lot of potential to go with this, but when things like this happen, like I said, sometimes this may not be what it seems. I think the obvious choice is Liv Morgan should be your women's world champion by the end of next week, but
Mm-hmm.
I've seen crazier things.
I'm interested in seeing Liv Morgan, right? Maybe running, but what I'm more interested is like the best stories come from real life, right? So
Sure,
like these real injuries, if they can make them like really personable, they could really develop Liv Morgan to the next level to
I
be
agree.
kind of like in that stratosphere, right? Instead of just being kind of a contender.
Sure.
I mean, she's already kind of up there, but I can see her being a champ again if she plays this heel because we already know how heels are, right? Heels are typically champions because it's like that mountain you got to climb over.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see Liv kind of. I can see like there being like three matches almost, right? Like a Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins like type of trilogy
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like SummerSlam and then a PLE later on, and then a PLE after that, because they keep switching back. Like they could be switching back and forth, or Liv could just be like stealing wins, right, or something like that, right? And Rhea just can't seem to get over the hump with a clean win. And then you build that up. I mean, I really think that the best stories come from real life stuff. And if WWE plays their cards right, which I think they do now, because they see it, they see what, like with The Rock and Roman and all that stuff. These are real people, real storylines, and it's organic, like you said. So it can become, this can take on a life of its own. Like it can become something bigger. Like it really can. So, but yeah, a lot of us wanted Liv to be in this scene. So now we get to see if she's ready for it, right? Like now we're here.
She has her opportunity. She has her opportunity now to do something pretty cool here with with something unfortunate. So if they decide to give her the keys next week, well, then here you go. You're in the driver's seat. It's the same concept as giving the keys to they're giving the keys to Cody. They're giving the keys to to Damian, and they're letting these people ride and see how they're gonna go. And so they're forced into another opportunity to try and see if they can get another person to kind of have another reign. So with that being said, now the longest title reign in WWE right now is now Logan Paul's US title reign now.
Wow.
With that one being with the Women's World Championship one being the last one. And Rhea coming back, like I said, it's going to be it's going to be on another level when it comes to the fans and whatnot. And she never lost, right?
She never lost
her title, so she's going to have that angle to be able to go off of. So that's kind of cool there too. Like her reign ended, but she never lost it. So that's
a lot can happen in 3 months, right? Like, because correct me if
course.
I'm wrong, but did Finn come back and win the Universal after injury? Like,
no,
or did time just move without him?
It did.
Time just went on without him.
That was what I was kind of talking about that about his run. His run was literally 24 hours. He got that broken collarbone or whatever it was, and he vacated the title that next night. And then it was Seth versus Kevin Owens, and that's where Triple H betrayed Seth Rollins, and Kevin Owens got his first Universal title run. But then after that, I mean, Finn Balor didn't even get his rematch.
He didn't even get a rematch. He didn't get revenge. Nothing. They just forgot about everything.
Finn Balor did not even get a title shot, a world title shot, until I believe this last time that he faced, when he faced Roman.
When
he faced Roman, that was the first time he had gotten a title shot since he had won it. That was the. Yeah, that was the.
No, I'm not saying that Mommy is like on the same level though.
That was the Finn Balor falls off, the demon falls off the turnbuckle, and the match is over.
The buckle, But I'm not saying that Rhea will probably come back. She's too big. Like Finn was still just barely getting his feet underneath him.
Yeah.
Rhea is gonna come back, and she's definitely gonna be right into that main event scene too. Out of curiosity, do you happen to know when Charlotte will be back? Because I know she has to be coming up on her return from injury.
It's actually kind of funny because I saw something on X that somebody said it was a meme when it's like when Charlotte Flair sees a title is vacant, it was like somebody like doing like one of those things or something. Like that. Like
that could be the swerve right there. Is it's like a triple threat between Liv, Nia, right, and then there's one other. And people are thinking it's Becky Lynch, but it is actually Charlotte Flair. That's who gets the win.
Or if it's like a over the top challenge kind of thing. Here comes Charlotte Flair out of nowhere kind of thing.
Yeah.
To win.
I can see that. I can see that happening.
But the only thing with her is, I haven't heard any rumblings that she's ready to come back anytime soon. I believe she had tore her ACL. And that was back in just January, right? Was it January when she did that? It was
either December, January. It was one of those two.
It was right before the Royal Rumble, right? Around that time. And I can't remember. She didn't compete in the Royal Rumble, right? It was before.
Nope.
It was right before the
No.
Royal Rumble. It had to have been somewhere around that. It was either December or January. It's hard to remember. But I mean, those injuries are at least like you need at least 6 months at the minimum, right? With surgery and rehab and then actually testing it out in the ring and making sure you're good to go. So as much as I think it would be kind of crazy, I don't know if I see that happening. Just based on, I don't think she's ready to come back yet. I think we're still a couple.
Yeah. It's about 4 months almost.
I think we're still a couple of months away from her being like completely ready to come back.
How do you feel about Liv being rewarded for giving her a title after she injures one of your biggest talents? How do you feel like that works politically as opposed to just, you know what, let's just give it to Nia because we're not going to reward Liv. Liv already got in trouble before this. She didn't get a match at WrestleMania. And now we're going to just put this strap on her after she got somebody hurt. Outside of just like to push a storyline.
Sure.
What's to stop them from just saying, give it to Nia? Because Nia did get like showcased on, what is it, Raw?
Yeah.
Saying now that she's gone, who's going to stop me?
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying.
So what's to stop, what's to stop them from doing that?
Sure. Nothing. Because it's like I said, this is one of those, this is when in these rare cases where a person has to vacate a world title, sometimes you can go with the obvious and sometimes you can go a different direction. It gives you an opportunity to do something different, so you choose to go that way. And I would not be at the least surprised if they decided to swerve and go Nia Jax or somebody completely different that's not Liv Morgan, right? I'm just thinking man's kind of thing. I'm just thinking it's probably going to be Liv by the end of the night, but I've seen it before where it's not what you think it's going to be, and then it's someone completely different. Another example, right? I mean, if you want to look back at previous things, Batista at one point in his he had to vacate the World Heavyweight Championship because he got hurt, and then they had one of those battle royals or whatever too. And you would have thought it would have been somebody else, like one of the other top guys, something like that. And the fucking Great Khali won it. He won it. This is before he became the dancing guy. But still, like, when you had
that's the genius of Vince McMahon right there. You know what I'm saying? That's the genius right there.
When you had people on your roster like the Undertaker and all those other guys in that SmackDown roster during that time, you went with the Great Khali or whatever. And
I'm not gonna lie, I love that because everything's become too predictable. Like I've told you, right? Because if we can tell you what's gonna happen before the show starts, there's no excitement to that, right?
Sure.
I think like we can, you know what I mean? Like everybody's already talking about this whole like Roman versus bloodline versus bloodline. Like everybody's seeing that. So if they go a different direction, like it's surprising. So. Maybe they do put it on somebody else, but you know what? That's not this era. So they're gonna go with safe bet. It's very, obviously you wanted WrestleMania, so it's obviously the very obvious, very obvious winners. So
I don't know, man.
Cookie cutters.
So, I mean, you're just still hating. Which, by the way, I guess I'll just go ahead.
I am hating because it's the most
you're
fucking
hating because
bullshit.
I am the champion. But because I am the champion, and I don't, and regardless of whether or not I get injured, I don't vacate my title. It still stays here. So
okay.
The only way you get this is by beating me. You don't get it because I have to vacate it or whatever. Like you have to beat me, and chances are you're not gonna.
I gotta get good internet speed before that first, though.
Chances are you ain't gonna beat me. So yeah.
We'll see about that.
Problems already.
I'm just gonna go with the most obvious picks in the future because that's what Triple H does.
We'll find out here soon enough. As soon as we get the card settled for Backlash, we don't even have I think we have one match that's set up for there so far that I remember hearing. That's the World Heavyweight, that's the World Championship match. That's going to be Damian Priest versus main event Jey Uso. That was one that they announced on Monday. That's going to take place at Backlash for sure. But I don't think there's been any other. I'm not sure if the Cody versus AJ or LA Knight. I'm not sure if that one's gonna be a Backlash match. I would assume it is. But
It's gonna have to be. He's on the freaking cover.
yeah, you're right. He's on the damn poster, which that's another thing that we found out on
He's on the poster.
on
It's his
Monday.
poster.
Another thing that we found out on Monday Night Raw, that evidently Cody came out. He did his usual, he did a promo, and he called himself a SmackDown superstar. So, and he is listed on the website as a SmackDown superstar now. So I find that kind of interesting going into the draft in a couple of weeks, as to whether or not he'll stay on SmackDown. So it'll be interesting to see. But as of right now, yeah, he is no longer a Raw superstar. He's a SmackDown superstar now. So we'll see how long that lasts and whatnot, or what they decide to swerve again at the draft or whatever, switch champions again or something. But we found that out. We have new tag team championship number one contenders. DIY won their number one contenders match with New Day. Pretty fun little match there. Actually, it was a triple threat. It was them, New Day, and the Creed brothers, who, jeez, where the hell have they been? Where have the Creed brothers been? But either way, good showing from a triple threat format in tags, and DIY comes out. What is it? DIYX or whatever. What is it called?
DIYX. Oh my god.
Regeneration X.
It's so bad.
Regeneration
It's so
X
bad.
coming out in full DX gear. But what was pretty cool was before that we got unveiled the new World Tag Team Championships, as that's what they're now. They're no longer called the Raw Tag Team Championships anymore. They are called the World Tag Team Championships. And we got a new look that kind of reflects the World Heavyweight Championships on the men's and the women's. It's a straight up circular belt, and it's a lot bigger than the other ones. It doesn't look like a penny or a nickel anymore, and it doesn't look like a toy. It looks more like a belt. So it doesn't look like a toy. It looks more like a belt. The nickel or the penny belt that they used to look like.
I'm still not sure how I feel about these belts. I don't know how, like, they look like jewelry almost. Like, I think like the circularness of it, the shininess of it, and it almost looks like there's like diamonds in it or something. Like it's gonna be an interesting belt. I am used to like the straps type of belts. Because you got that on like the WWE Championship, the Universal, back when Roman used to carry two belts. Can you imagine one being a circle and the other one being a square? Like it would just be kind of weird. So I mean, the belt you're holding right now is more of that square shape, like rectangle shape, than it is circular. Mm-hmm. So it looks almost like a bracelet that you put on your arm. And that's where I was, maybe it's a morpher or something. You know what I mean? Like from Power Rangers or something, because it's definitely got a interesting characteristics on that belt. Yeah. I'm not too sure where I stand on them yet.
Yeah, I took a closer look at them because you could take a closer look at them on the WWE shop, because they already have them for pre-sale, and you can take kind of like a zoomed in look at the design and stuff like that, and it's a beautiful looking design. Like I do like the classic designs, like old school championship kind of belt designs, versus the fucking Trojan Horse boys on the title with the red fucking straps and the blue straps, like fucking Mattel toys.
If it didn't have those straps, it wouldn't be too bad.
I mean, before they became color coded, they were black straps, but the thing was bronze for some fucking reason, and I've never like that's why I call it the penny and dime belts, because it went from looking like a penny and then went to looking like a dime when they changed them into silver. So at least they have gold. At least they're gold again. And now you will have to get used, like you said, to just a straight up circle. I haven't seen a belt like that probably since the WWE Championship from 98. The one that was the championship from 98 to 2002. It was the circle belt. It was the one that came right after the Stone Cold belt. The one that Stone Cold and The Rock and all those guys, it was straight up a circle. I haven't seen a belt like that since those belts. So that's what it kind of was reminiscent of was a belt like that. But I thought it was a good change. I thought it was a welcome change. It'll be interesting to see if they do new belts on Friday. I would assume they are as well. I would assume that what is it called? The A-Town Down Under will probably get new belts as well. They'll get rid of the blue ones. And it just seems like finally, like we're getting rid of color coded belts, which thank God we're getting rid of color coded belts, because I couldn't take any more. Like, well, okay, well, championship changing brands, so here I give you my red belt and you give me your blue belt. How does that make any fucking sense? Because like you didn't win that championship. You just but we're just supposed to think like, no, it just resets because now that's the red one and that's the blue one. So even though it's like, at least now, like, we know you're the world tag team champions and these are the WWE tag team champions, however they decide to name it. At least we know now, like, that's who's who, right? And there's no exchanging the belts because they're different belts, if that makes sense. Instead of just saying like, nah, here's, or like that one time where they had that awkward Becky and Charlotte exchange for the women's ones. Like, good Lord, what a stupid thing that was. And so I'm glad that we're done with color coded belts at this point. We're just, everything's black with the, you know, even though they all kind of have similar designs, at least they're distinguished. Like, this is not a Raw title, this is not a SmackDown title, this is the blah 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 title now. So at least we're gone.
What are they calling it?
Belts. Which ones? The Raw ones or the
what's
ones?
it called? Yeah,
they got changed. What I just called
just
them.
WWE Tag Team Championships.
No. Awesome Truth have the World Tag Team Championships. That's what they're called. The World Tag Team Championships. I don't know what they're going to be called. I don't know what Austin Theories and Grayson Waller's are going to be called yet because they haven't unveiled them. I would assume that's probably going to change come Friday. I would assume they'll have a presentation.
What's your guess?
My guess is they'll probably call them because we actually have a couple of changes when it comes to titles. So Cody Rhodes is now being billed as just the undisputed WWE champion. There's no more Universal. So it's just called the undisputed WWE Championship. Bayley is the WWE Women's Champion. So I would assume, based on, you know, on the trend and where you're going, it's probably going to be called the WWE Tag Team Champions. Because on Raw you have the World Heavyweight Champion, you have the Women's World Championship, and now you have the World Tag Team Champions. So I'd assume on SmackDown you're going to have the undisputed WWE Champion, the WWE Women's Champion, and then probably the WWE Tag Team Championships, unless they name them something else. But that would be my assumption to keep it uniform in that.
Yeah, because they can't call them the undisputed, right? They can't call them the undisputed tag team champions. They're not undisputed.
Yeah, they're not disputed. They're disputed now because they split them up. So my assumption would be it's going back to calling them the WWE Tag Team Championships. No more Raw Tag Team or SmackDown Tag Team Champions. No more brand name champions, if that makes sense. So I would assume that's where they're going with it. I would assume that those titles, this is just me speaking, I would assume that those might look more like the WWE one, right? With this shape, with the WWE logo.
Like ours?
On there. Maybe not exactly like ours, but, you know, the same shape. But you might be surprised. Maybe they look completely different too. Maybe they look. I would assume they would look different than the other tag team titles, just to make sure they don't look the same, just to make them look different. But yeah, title shuffling, title name changes, seems to be all part of this new era as we continue to go along with this new era of new everything. So there we go. So we got that.
Speaking of new, Johnny T, how about your boy Chad Gable?
Oh, I was about to roll into that. So good segue into that. The biggest story I think of the night was Chad Gable turning heel, guys. Chad Gable did what I was kind of, but when I was watching the show with my cousin, we were both thinking like, Sami Zayn's in Montreal, in his hometown. Intercontinental Championship match is the main event, obviously, because hometown boy. There's no way Sami Zayn's gonna lose the title here. It's too early, and he's in his hometown, and that's just not gonna happen in front of his wife and stuff like that. So, there's got to be something else here. There's got to be something else. Can't just be Sami Zayn winning and then that's it. Just celebration, yay! Like, man, we got that last week. We got that the week before, at WrestleMania. So now it's got to be, where's the substance, right? So me and him were thinking like, Chad Gable's gonna turn heel, isn't he? He's gonna turn heel. I think he's gonna do something tonight. I think he's gonna slip. And the signs were there all night long. If you were eagle-eyed to it, one of the things that I caught throughout the night was, regardless of whether I had anything to do with it, it was just kind of like me looking in with goggles. Maxine had a match, and she wasn't wearing any Alpha Academy gear anymore. She was wearing her own gear, and it made me kind of think like, And we didn't see the other Alpha Academy guys on the show either. We didn't see Otis. We didn't see Tozawa. We didn't see any backstage segments with any of them together, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm. We haven't seen that for a while, actually.
For real. And the only thing we saw was just Chad Gable getting ready, getting pumped, looking like this has got to be, it's now or never, right? This could be his last chance at the Intercontinental Championship, and Sami Zayn just soaking in all of the things with that. So I felt like, God, I think they're gonna do it. I think that's gonna happen. And when the show was about to end, I was like, well, maybe not, because Sammy's celebrating. And then as soon as I saw him go for a hug for his wife, that's where I was like, here it comes. He's gonna hit him in the back, right? Like here, the angle just seems too perfect. And not only did I thought maybe he was just gonna club him on the back of the head. No, he literally ripped him away from his wife and German suplexed his ass on the ground. And then that's not where it ended. He threw him into the ring post and then grapevined him across it and ankle locked him on the top rope to end as we faded to black on the show. And that was cool. I thought that was neat. I thought that was a cool way to end the show there in Sami Zayn's hometown, and a great way to create once again a potential to create another kind of neat heel character in Chad Gable. I'm interested to see where they go with it. What do you think about it?
Man, I mean, watching that match, I don't know how many times I gasp for air, because I was like, oh my God, somebody's hurt. Like I saw Chad Gable land on his damn neck.
Yeah.
Like a couple of times maybe, right? And then I saw Sami Zayn, which there was instances it looked like a work, but there was instances it looked like he was actually like tender on it. And either he really sold it good because he was walking decently afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought they both kind of walked. I was like, man, Sami Zayn just injured himself on his first match, because of all this stuff. But he looked like he was fine. As far as Chad Gable turning heel, it's a little difficult for me to say. I did say a long time ago that we need more heels. Like I kind of anticipated that we were going to get a few guys turning heels because we have too many faces right now. Sure. We don't have enough heels. We just had the bloodline or some shit like that. And we just didn't have enough heels. So, but I guess maybe post Sammy, I don't really know where Chad Gable fits in from a heel perspective yet. But I do think that they're going to have a long program like him and Sammy, because I think they're just building that up, right? They're building this like betrayal factor up. So I think that Sammy is going to be deadlocked into a feud with Chad Gable for a while. And we're going to get some bangers of matches for sure. Chad Gable is one hell of a wrestler. He's amazing talent, I guess you can say, and never held a singles title, right? So Does he ever get over the hump? I don't know. I imagine Sami Zayn's reign's not going to be no like 2 months. I guess it could supposedly do that, right? Like you could have that happen, but then you start talking about playing hot potato with the Intercontinental Championship, right? Because everybody's going to be picking it up and dropping it. So, I guess we have to see how hot Chad Gable gets in order to determine whether or not he can become champ, right? We have to see how hot he gets. What does he do with this character, so we can determine if he can, be at that stratosphere where he can be a champ. Like, he hasn't been taken that seriously throughout his career, and now he has a chance to be something he's never been, which I think is going to be pretty interesting. So, but the jury's still out on that. We're going to have to see what he brings to this heel character. Like, is he still just Chad Gable? Is he still an American Alpha? Because AJ Styles did that shit with like, what is it, the Bullet Club, and he was still kind of like, I'm not with you guys no more. I don't know, just like it was like weird. It was like a weird breakup, and a lot of times you see characters reinvent themselves, but they usually come under a new moniker, right? Like Seth Rollins, came under like the Messiah character, and then Roman Reigns changed from the big dog to tribal chief.
Yeah.
What is Chad Gable going to refer to himself as, or is he going to just come out and say "shush"? And like that doesn't fit the heel character. Like I don't know that fits the heel character for him. So, or thank you. Like I don't know. That doesn't seem like a heelish thing to do.
I think that thing is probably that thing that the thank you at least is probably done. The shush thing, depending on how you work it could work in a heel kind of spot. But at the Alpha Academy as we know it, I think that's the part that's going to be like how that breaks down, because clearly that it's been a face stable, and now it's not gonna be, or whatever iteration it's gonna be under this Chad Gable heel turn. But the guy has the potential to flip. I mean, he's got a mean streak. You've seen that, right? Seen what that can look like, and it's reminiscent of, because the comparisons are there.
Kurt Angle, it's all the way there.
It has the makings to be that kind of a heelish Kurt Angle run kind of thing, right? Where he can be brute. He's got all the tools for it. But yeah, you're right. It's like about, well, what do they do with the character as far as where he goes from here? What does he do? Does he just leave his stable like AJ Styles kind of did, or does he reinvent his stable? Does he still want to keep the Alpha Academy open, but is there room for different kind of Alpha Academy, a more strict one, a more less playful, more like we need to get shit done kind of thing, because I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of losing. It's not what I'm about. I'm tired of being looked over. Will the other guys feel that way? Will Otis feel that way? Will you know what I mean? And they could do something different. Maybe maybe there's new recruits. You got guys like the Creed brothers who could use something different, right? Maybe you turn them heel. Maybe you bring him. Maybe you create a new Alpha Academy, and whatnot, a darker one. But I don't know. It's just ideas that you can go with. But as far as him maybe winning the Intercontinental Championship, I guess it depends on how far they want to go with this. But it's a good way to keep the rivalry going by turning him heel, because if you would have kept him face, then I don't know where you go with Chad Gable anymore at that point. Because you think you'd be all out of chances on, with being a babyface and not winning the big one. So now it's like he's got to turn to this darker side of him, to this tired of this shit kind of thing. So I'm for it. I'm willing to see where they go with it, and I think they made the right call, because everybody on Twitter, or most people on Twitter, are either for it, and they're like, oh wow, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for the Perk Gable era. Going off the Perk Angle era, or they're like, or they're like, God, I hate that Gable did that to Sammy. Like, oh my God, why? And it got all the way to the point of national notoriety when Charles Barkley himself on Stephen A. Smith's show came out and said that he wanted to go and punch Gable in the face for messing with Sammy. That's
beating him up in front of his family or his mama or something like that.
Beating him up in front of his family. You just don't do that. Don't do that.
You just don't
in front of his hometown, in front of his family and friends. But that's what you're talking about, right? When it's like, how do you get people to kind of like, how do you do something and make sure that it's gonna hit? That's a good start. You have people's eyes, you have people's attention. So now what are you gonna do with it? So I look forward to see what potentially they're gonna do with it and how they go from here. And I don't think I've ever seen what a true heel Chad Gable looks like. I've seen what like a silly one looks like, but not like a true, like, this is like, I'm over the edge. So I'm interested. I'm very, very interested.
Yeah, I think a few extra moves, right? Give him an angle slam too, so you can just adopt that move and put it in your repertoire. You're already doing the ankle lock.
Gave him the ankle lock, and that ankle lock on the top rope like that looked dirty as fuck. I was like, that looked good.
Yeah. Just
and it's all
embrace
about,
it.
It's all about the angles. It's no pun intended, and all about the camera work and where you're going. And as they fade to black, I mean, it's right there in front of his wife. He's like breaking the dude's ankle right in front of his wife. That was perfect, dude. No better way to go off. And once, like we keep talking about reactions, how do you feel about it? How do the people feel? There was video on X after the show was over of the crowd literally chanting "Fuck you, Gable," while he's in the ring. Like I said, that's a good reaction. That's what you're hoping for when
good reaction
when you make a turn like that. So he's already got all the major fucking heat on him. Now just use it. Use it and turn it into something that could be potentially gold, that could maybe eventually get him gold. I think it's always blown my mind and just felt like highway robbery that you've always had a like bona fide talent in Chad Gable, regardless of his size. Say what you will, maybe he's not tall, maybe he's not 6'3", 6'4", but the guy is a talent. He just is so good inside of the ring, and he's never held a singles title. That seems like, it blows my mind that they never ever pulled the trigger on him.
Doesn't blow my mind.
Oh.
Doesn't blow my. It's the same thing I've been telling you, Johnny T. Like, it's the smaller wrestlers. It's a size game. It really is. And I told you that. That's why I feel the belts should be designated for sizes. Because
here's the thing. Because here's what I mean by that. What I mean by that, it just blows my mind because Ricochet's been Intercontinental Champion. Guys like Ricochet have. I mean, other guys have been like United States Champion. You know, they've had opportunities, whether it worked out or didn't. Whether it was memorable or unrememberable, whatever, they had opportunities, right? And I mean, guys like Ricochet have even competed for the world title before. You know what I mean? But you had Chad Gable there this whole time, and he just was kind of doing nothing with him, which was always shocking to me.
I think his promo work
this was before,
wasn't always great.
This was even before the Triple H thing came in, because Chad Gable's been in this thing for years. Chad Gable has been in the WWE since about 2014, 2015. And he's been on the main roster since about 2016, 2017. And I mean, he's had good runs here and there, but you know, it's always been, he was always one of those guys that I was always like, man, one of these days they're going to let him go, or he's going to go somewhere else, and they're going to rue the day they did that, because he's going to go somewhere else and he's going to shine bright like a diamond. But he stayed, and now it seems like we have something here. He was in the main event once again and had a big angle that has all kinds of heat and all kinds of people talking about it. So I'm glad we're here. Now, can we get him to the finish line? I guess we're going to find out. And it'll come. Will it come with the cost of Sami Zayn's run? Maybe it will.
Maybe not at first. I think that you start delivering lambs to the slaughter first, right? So you this Monday coming up, it's Chad. You know he can't get another title shot because he just lost. So it's Chad Gable versus somebody maybe that's close to Sammy or maybe somebody that's a face that is a fan favorite or something, and Chad Gable goes out there and hurts him, right? Like then you start building up that this despicable Chad Gable character, right? And you start giving him more and more ground to where you're making him legitimate because he's winning matches against people, and then you build on his character to where eventually it gets inserted back into Sammy, right? Like it comes full circle. But I do think that for right here, right now, they gotta add. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they had him go against his old stable, right? Make him go. They have a backstage segment. He beats up Tozawa, or he beats up Otis, right? That'll catch him even more heat. And so it's something like that to where you start building him up. But what I will say is that, in my opinion, Chad Gable has never been like that memorable on the mic, and I don't know what to expect going forward. He's always been kind of corny, and I guess you watch the WrestleMania promos too, and that's what it was. It was corny. So this inspirational kind of mentoring teacher, just I don't know. It's always been kind of corny. I haven't received genuine Chad Gable like just talk to me and tell me how you really feel about this business, right? Like a CM Punk like level of realism. And so maybe now we can kind of see if he can catch that, because if he can catch that, then it's lightning in a bottle, and I think that he can go far with this character. But if it's just going to be the same old shoosh and and just real kind of corny heelish stuff, he's going to struggle and he's going to fade away back into obscurity. It doesn't matter how much talent you have, you got to be able to cut compelling promos. If that's the one thing that he's had that's held him back, it might be that is that he's never really been a compelling character. He's just super talented. But you've seen guys like this before where they're super talented and they can't cut a promo to save their fucking lives. You know what I mean? Like it happens. So we'll see if like the time that he's taken to become a vet, if he's learned some shit, and maybe now he can implement this in his new character.
I mean, just scatter shooting. I would assume that. I mean, obviously he has built enough trust with the the people in charge and stuff to give him these opportunities, and now to give him an opportunity to change his character around. So I don't have any doubt that this thing should go off with flying colors here. I just once again, how do the fans receive it? How do they go off of what they did last week? Just keep turn them into a mean, lean fucking fighting machine that don't give a fuck anymore. I don't care more about the rules. I don't care anymore about, let's do gym work and stuff like that. Stuff, you know what I mean? So I'd be interested. I'm very, very interested to see. I'm also would be very interested to see like, maybe not at first when it comes back next week to maybe be like, well, I just snapped for a minute, but I'm fine, I'm okay. But then but then we get further dissension into just him completely snapping. Like you said, maybe he completely snaps on one of his own guys. Maybe he just gets Tozawa and like breaks his ankle or whatever because he just can't take it anymore. Those kinds of things. Like that's good stuff. But I don't know. I guess we'll see where they go with it and how quickly they wanna ascend. Once again, all these things are cool and everything, but we got a draft coming and it could change everything. We got a draft coming and we could all be talking for night. It could all just change everything. They could just move Chad Gable over to SmackDown and have him be a heel over there in SmackDown instead of Raw. I don't know. It could happen. Who knows? But either way, great way to end the show. I enjoyed that. I was like, my jaw was kind of like, oh shit, that's kind of cool. And it was a good Raw. I thought it was a good show of Raw. And we'll see. It started off sad, sucks. Rhea Ripley, hope you get well. Us here at the Springboard Plancha Podcast wish you a really, really fast and quick recovery. Hope you get back soon, healthier than ever, and get your title back. And then we ended it with just an awesome heel turn. So good show, and even the in between stuff wasn't too bad either. It was still pretty decent. Chelsea Green got a win. How about that? So Chelsea Green got a win. So good stuff all the way around.
Got some matches you don't normally get, so it was good. None of the big talent is around right now, so.
No, yeah, it was just a pretty good all around
Drew
show.
wasn't on, right?
He was.
And
He had a backstage.
Seth is gone,
He
so
had a backstage, somewhat interview with segment where he Claymore kicked the TV.
Oh,
and then walked away and left
the
Jackie
TV.
Redmond,
That was it.
Left Jackie Redmond kind of shaking in her boots. Jay had a match with was it Finn? No, was it who was it? It was Finn. Yeah, it was Finn Balor.
Finn.
Yeah, it was Finn. And he won.
It was Finn.
He won the match. So Damian Priest, is obviously they're still feeding into that. There's a little bit of what looks like could be a disconnect between him and Finn Balor, which I kind of was wondering if they were going to kind of feed into that because, now that he's the World Heavyweight Champion, tag team championships don't matter to him anymore. But for Finn Balor, where does that leave him now? Is he an equal, or is he now a lackey to Damian Priest? So there's a little bit of a tease of dissension in there as far as Finn Balor's feeling towards Damian Priest. So we'll see where they continue to go with that as the weeks go along. I wouldn't be shocked if maybe sometime in between now and SummerSlam, if Finn Balor doesn't find a way to get into a title match with Damian Priest. I wouldn't be surprised. Not saying it will happen. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if they find a way to make that happen, right? At some point. I think that'd be kind of neat. But a lot of things that Raw kind of just opened the door for things coming up, hopefully here in the next couple of weeks. One of the things that before we get out of here that I wanted to say is I continue to be a huge fan. I don't know about you, Cheese, but I continue to be a huge fan of the new camera angles and all the new camera work that they do on the shows now. I thought that when Jay, when he ended his match and he kind of ran out, and usually
they followed him.
Usually in the past, as soon as he hits that going into the backstage area, you cut and you go to something else. But the camera stayed with him and just stayed walking with him. And I was like, oh, this is kind of different. This is kind of cool. And you got to see the perspective of, walking through, going through the crowd, having, dapping it up with the crowd, even pushing away a fan that maybe got a little bit into too much in the way there for a second, which I kind of had a good laugh at. But then I was wondering, like, where the hell are they following him to then? Like, are these? And then it came right at the outside of the building. Sami Zayn's waiting right there. They're looking up at the sign, and Sami Zayn and that's when Sami Zayn went into his, this is my hometown. This is what I did. This is where I've been to this building. Blah 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 blah. And they didn't stop there, but they followed Sami Zayn the same way out back into the crowd when the music hits, and that was cool. I liked it, and I like those new kinds of camera angles. I don't like, it really is a far cry away from the old cut camera, zoom in, zoom out, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out, cut, flip, and it was just like you felt like the cameras were just fucking going everywhere all the time under the old Kevin Dunn video production. With this new video production where you kind of get a little bit more just. Let's keep it going in that was one whole shot, dude. That was one solid shot. They did not flip cameras around. That was one solid shot. That's good shit, dude. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think we've been seeing a lot of that now where like they follow people through the curtain. They've been doing that, right? Like they're following people through the curtain, walking from the back all the way to the front.
Yeah.
And sometimes going back to the back as well. So
it's not all cookie. It's not all cookie cutter anymore. Like you actually get some cool
it's more cinematic.
Thank you. That's exactly what it is. And it's cool. It's neat. It's a different wrinkle, but it's actually working. And even just from in the ring too, when you get those different kind of camera angles and stuff, it's such a good look. I like it. So I'm enjoying that right now. So I thought I would at least point that out and give WWE a shout out on their camera video work. That was some good stuff. That was one of the best, like, out of ring and then into the ring, like, just shots that I've seen in quite some time. That was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course Sammy going through, like, following him through the crowd and everything. That was cool. That was neat. But we'll see where things go with the Women's World Championship next week. Of course, on Friday coming up, we will find out who the number one contender to Cody's title is when LA Knight takes on AJ Styles. I'm predicting that AJ Styles is probably going to win, just so that way you can get the face versus heel matchup at Backlash between him and AJ, and the first time between Cody and AJ. And then next Monday we get the new Women's Championship crown. So hopefully by then we'll know who the Women's Champion is, and then we'll come back here and talk about it. Mm-hmm. And if it's Liv Morgan, then great, we're 100%. But if not, then oh well. And then I think next Tuesday is when we're trying to be on here. So when the next time we'll be on. So remember to like, subscribe, click the notification button so when when we're gonna go live. But I think next Tuesday we're trying to do a live next Tuesday in preparation for the draft, which will be next Friday. And what we're gonna try to do on the show is we're gonna try to have a draft predictions, I guess, kind of thing. That's what we're gonna try.
I wish I knew how the format was gonna go.
Yeah, that would make it a lot easier, but we'll figure something out. If they don't tell us what the format is by the time we get here next Tuesday or whatever, we'll just kind of do our own thing and kind of figure out what we're gonna do. But we'll have fun with that. But until then, guys, thanks for joining us again. Sorry about the late start. It is what it is. We'll try to do what we can here with what we got. So hopefully next week our internets will be good, our videos will be good, and we won't have to worry about coming on 2 hours later than what we want to. But until then, Tribal Cheese, thanks for joining me. Thanks for coming back and making this happen tonight as much as you could. And I am Johnny T. We'll see you guys next time. Later, dudes.